Welcome to Trust Talks International. I'm Paolo Gaeta, and in this episode, we dive into the unique trust and wealth planning opportunities the Republic of San Marino offers. Discover how this exclusive jurisdiction blends legal innovation, favorable tax conditions, and unparalleled transparency, making it an ideal choice for asset protection. For further information or to connect with me directly, feel free to reach out on social media. Now, let's listen in and gain a deeper understanding of San Marino's tax system and the opportunities it offers.
Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're taking you to a place that, it might just make you want to grab your passport. And maybe your financial advisor too.
Right.
Get ready to explore the intriguing tax haven that is San Marino.
That's right. Nestled right within Italy, this tiny republic, it boasts a history, as rich as its residents' bank accounts. You could say that.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. Another episode about, you guessed it, taxes.
Yeah.
But trust me on this one.
That's a good one.
San Marino, they're not just dodging taxes. It's like they're doing Olympic-level hurdles over them.
It's true. Their system is so unique, it's actually caught the eye of the OECD.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And not always in a good way.
Yeah.
But more on that later.
Okay, listeners, so picture this. You're strolling through, those charming cobblestone streets, ancient castles, they're perched on hillsides. And the best part?
Let me guess.
Your income tax. It's potentially a fraction of what you'd pay, back home.
Yeah, and that's because San Marino, they have a long history of low taxes.
Yeah.
It dates back, centuries. It's not just some recent scheme. It's woven into the fabric of their independent existence.
Speaking of history, did you know that they've been around since, the Middle Ages?
Wow.
We're talking a constitution older than some countries.
It's true. And their government, it's just as fascinating. Imagine a system where every 6 months, 2 new leaders, they're called captains regent, and they're elected.
Wow.
Talk about a quick turnover, right?
That's like the political version of musical chairs.
Yeah.
But this is where it gets really interesting. San Marino, it isn't even part of the EU, but they've been in the EU customs zone since 1991.
It's a strategic move. They get the benefits of free trade without some of the financial burdens that come with full membership.
Talk about having your cake and eating it too, huh? But how exactly does this tiny nation pull it off? Let's dive into the specifics of their tax system.
All right. Well, for starters, you can forget the value-added tax.
The what?
The VAT. You see it across most of Europe.
Oh, right, great.
San Marino, they have something called a monophase import tax instead.
Monophase tax. That sounds kind of complicated. Can you break it down for us?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Imagine let's say you're a business and you're importing luxury cars. It's a popular business in San Marino.
Okay.
So instead of paying VAT every step of the way,
Yeah.
you just pay a single tax that's only 17%, and you pay it when the car crosses the border.
So it's like a one-time entry fee for goods.
Exactly.
And it's lower than the standard VAT in many EU countries. No wonder businesses are intrigued by this.
Exactly, and that's just the beginning. When it comes to income tax, residents, they enjoy incredibly favorable rates.
How favorable are we talking here?
Okay, so their income tax system, it's progressive, meaning the more you earn, the higher the percentage you pay. But even for those the very, very top, the rate, it maxes out at 35%.
Now that is significantly lower than many other European countries, where top rates, they can reach 45% or even higher. We're talking potentially tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands in savings for high earners.
You're catching on. And for companies, the corporate tax rate is, it's equally attractive.
Right.
A flat 17%.
So between the import tax advantages and these low income and corporate tax rates, it sounds like San Marino it's a haven for businesses and individuals alike.
Precisely. But there's another layer to this tax haven onion that we need to peel back.
Oh.
Trust laws.
This whole trust thing. It sounds intriguing. Could you elaborate on why San Marino's laws are so unique?
Well, for one, setting up a trust in San Marino, it's surprisingly straightforward. And here's the kicker. The fiscal residency of the trust. It depends on where the trustees are located, not necessarily the beneficiaries.
So if you have a trust in San Marino, but it's managed by trustees who are also based there,
then you benefit from their incredibly low tax rates, We're talking a mere 1.7% tax on the trust's income.
Wait, you're telling me I could potentially shield my assets in a trust and only pay a sliver of the taxes I would elsewhere. That sounds almost too good to be true.
That's precisely why San Marino's trust laws, they've garnered so much attention and scrutiny, I might add, over the years.
Okay, let's pause there for a second. This is where things get really, really interesting. We've got low taxes, business incentives, and these incredibly favorable trust laws. It paints a picture of San Marino as a true tax haven, right?
On the surface, absolutely. But like any good story, there are always two sides. And in San Marino's case, their journey towards maintaining this tax haven status, it's intertwined with a constant balancing act on the global stage.
All right, I'm hooked. Let's dig into that in part 2.
You see, for years, San Marino, it had a certain reputation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, like?
It was the place, the place whispered about in hushed tone, like in boardrooms.
Oh, okay.
The place where money went to disappear.
Sounds like something out of a spy thriller, almost.
Right. It's not that far off. But as globalization, marched on, and international organizations like, the OECD, they cracked down on these tax havens. San Marino, they found themselves, at a crossroads.
So they couldn't just keep, operating under the radar.
Exactly. The world was watching.
Yeah.
And in 2014, a pivotal moment occurred. Italy, their closest neighbor, an economic partner.
Right.
Well, they officially removed San Marino from their blacklist of tax havens.
Wow. That's huge. But what prompted that change of heart?
Well, San Marino, they made some concessions.
Right.
They signed agreements with Italy, and it was aimed at increasing, transparency and preventing double taxation.
Yeah.
Essentially, they agreed to, play ball, at least to a certain extent.
So they're trying to shed that shady tax haven image.
Exactly.
And step into the light.
Precisely. And it didn't stop there. Since 2017, they've also joined the club when it comes to, the automatic exchange of financial information with other countries.
Okay, pause right there. For those of us who aren't, financial wizards, what does that actually mean?
It means that San Marino now shares details about, bank accounts and financial assets that are held by, foreign residents with their home countries.
Okay.
It's a way to, combat tax evasion and promote financial transparency on a global scale.
So no more secret bank accounts for those trying to hide their wealth?
Not quite. While these agreements, they are a major step towards transparency, they're not foolproof. The world of international finance, it's complex.
Right.
And there are always those seeking to exploit, loopholes.
That makes sense, but it sounds like San Marino is genuinely trying to strike a balance, right, between maintaining their attractive tax system, but also cooperating with international standards.
That's the $1 million question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are they truly committed to transparency, or are these moves simply a way to appease international pressure while still retaining their tax haven status?
It's a delicate dance they're doing. But let's shift gears for a moment and go back to, those trust laws. We talked about how, setting up a trust in San Marino can lead to significant, tax advantages. But can you give us a real world example of how that might play out?
Okay. Imagine you're an entrepreneur. You've recently sold your tech startup.
Okay.
For, let's say, I don't know, $50 million.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, if you were to park a portion of that money in the trust in San Marino, you could potentially shield those assets from, higher taxes in your home country.
So instead of paying, let's say, 30% or more in capital gains taxes,
right,
you're looking at a mere 1.7%.
You got it.
If the trust is managed in San Marino.
You got it.
Yeah.
I mean, with San Marino's specialized court system, it's dedicated, solely to trust and fiduciary matters. They've created a legal framework that adds an extra layer of, appeal for those seeking to protect their wealth.
It's like they've built Fort Knox for financial assets. But I have to ask, with all these tax advantages, doesn't it create an uneven playing field?
But that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Critics, they argue that systems like San Marino's, they can exacerbate global wealth inequality, allowing the ultra-wealthy to avoid paying, their fair share while ordinary citizens, they shoulder the burden.
So it's not just about numbers on a balance sheet. There are ethical and societal implications to consider as well.
Absolutely. And this is where the debate gets, really, really interesting. Because on the other hand, supporters of San Marino's system, they argue that it attracts, investment. It creates jobs, and ultimately it benefits the country's economy as a whole.
So it's a complex issue, really, with no easy answers.
Exactly, and it's a debate that's likely to continue for years to come.
This is what makes this deep dive so fascinating. We're not just talking about dry financial regulations. We're uncovering a story about history, about sovereignty and the global tug of war between economic interests and ethical considerations.
Couldn't have said it better myself. But before we get too caught up in the macro level, let's zoom back in on San Marino itself.
Good idea.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about how their system benefits,
Yes.
businesses and wealthy individuals. But what about the average citizen of San Marino? How do they fit into all of this? It's easy to, to get caught up in the global implications. But at the end of the day, San Marino, it is a nation, of people. With their own unique story.
Right, and that's a crucial point for the citizens of San Marino. This tax system, it isn't just some some abstract concept. It's their reality, and it's shaped their lives. In some fascinating ways.
So paint us a picture. What's it like for the everyday resident of this tax haven nestled within Italy?
Okay, well, imagine living in a place with a strong a strong social safety net. San Marino, it boasts a high standard of living, excellent, health care, low unemployment.
That sounds idyllic, but those perks, they come at a cost, right? Taxes, they have to fund, those public services.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
A significant portion of San Marino's revenue, it actually comes from tourism.
Oh, of course, those charming, cobblestone streets and historic sites we talked about earlier.
Right.
They must draw quite a crowd.
Exactly. Millions of tourists, they flock to San Marino every year, drawn to its unique blend of history, culture, and let's be honest, the novelty of visiting a tax haven.
Yeah. So it's like a virtuous cycle. Tourists spend money, which bolsters the economy.
Yeah.
And it helps fund those public services, allowing San Marino to maintain its low tax rates.
Precisely, but it's not it's not just tourism. Remember those incentives that San Marino offers to companies that hire local residents.
Yeah, the ones where businesses get tax breaks for employing San Marino citizens. It sounded like a smart strategy to keep employment high.
Yeah, it's been quite effective. San Marino, it boasts an unemployment rate significantly lower than many of its European neighbors.
So their system, it seems to be working for them, at least for now. But it does make you wonder, is this sustainable in the long run?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The world, it's constantly changing. Globalization, technological, advancements, increased scrutiny on tax havens, all these factors, they're putting pressure on systems, like San Marino.
So it's not a matter of if, but when they'll have to adapt.
It seems likely the key will be finding a way to maintain what makes them unique. While also addressing the concerns of the global community.
Yeah, it's a tightrope walk, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But after this deep dive, I have to say I'm rooting for them.
Me too. Their story, it's a testament to the power of ingenuity, adaptation, and carving out your own path in a complex world.
Well said. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the intricacies of San Marino's tax system to the ethical debates it sparks and the impact on its citizens.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen how a country smaller than many city parks can become a global player in the world of finance.
It's a story of contrasts. of balancing act after balancing act, really. And it leaves us, I think, with more questions than answers.
As any good deep dive should.
That's right. So listeners, we turn it over to you. What are your thoughts on San Marino's unique approach? Is it a sustainable model or a house of cards waiting to collapse? Let us know. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world around us.